All right, what is going on, everyone? Today we are looking at the Revin ribbons and the API fields. A bit of a tutorial on general API language and how to make sure that you avoid all possible failure points with API language, because it is pretty confusing and there is a lot of nuance going on, especially with this kind of a strategy where multiple signals could be sent in one trade, where if you have a change in direction, you're actually sending two signals, which is a close one direction and open a new direction. All of these things are very important to understand and to trial and error before you just jump in trading your account. Obviously, nothing in this video is financial advice. Do your own research. Even chat with a AI bot on like maybe ChatGPT or something like that, just to kind of run through the general scenarios and the language going on. There can be a lot of help found out there these days on this. I'm not going in depth on how to create an API key. Crown has a video on that. And I am mostly focusing on Alertron Legacy because it is much easier to set up a bot with multiple signals on Legacy than Lite. If you are going to use Alertron Lite, do your own research. Again, chat with a bot or an AI platform like ChatGPT, like I mentioned earlier, or your favorite on that. And really, again, do your own research, especially if you're like sending several signals at once or scalping, all of that stuff. The first caveat that I will talk about that I've done my best to set up as cleanly as possible, but sometimes still is a bit not my favorite, is what happens when and every time a trade closes one direction and goes a new direction. So if you're using long and short, if you're using long only or short only, it's a lot simpler. If you're using long and short, let me set this scenario up. This trade back here entered long, close above the midline. Say we're for ease, say we're going long 1 Bitcoin. The first two take profits are hit within a couple bars. This bar closed above both, so took profit for both of them at the same place. And that took profit 10% for the first one and 15% because that's just the way I had it set up. So you're now long 0.75 Bitcoin and you've already taken profit on some of it. The next thing that happens is you have a scalp reentry. So whatever amount is scalped to, so whatever amount take profit to took off, it goes back in, or you can adjust that amount in the API fields. We'll go over that later. So now you're back long 0.9 Bitcoin. Then you take profit again. So now you're long only 0.75 Bitcoin. Finally close the whole trade, which is a pretty great trade, to be fair. Even though it didn't hit the rest of the take profit, still a 10% trade for that 0.75 Bitcoin that was long. However, if you get if the API gets the short entry signal before the long close signal, some real whack things can happen. And I've done all I can in the code to make sure that happens, but I still had this happen to me actually just the other day on this trade. When I was trading it to test it, it went, for some reason, TradingView, even though I have it as best as I can coded so it doesn't do this, TradingView still sent out the go short signal before it sent out the exit long signal. And so what ended up happening is it messed up my whole trade and then flattened the whole position. So here's my best try at fixing it. Now, there's actually a couple tries, and we'll talk about the other one in a moment. The first thing I added was this flatten kind of reduce only. What do you call that language? So say you were long. When you got a short signal, it has a reduce only language immediately. That's the first thing that it receives. You could either say strategy order action, which would be a short because it's a short entry, or you can just, for ease, you can just say side equals sell, which means it will sell 100% of the amount as a reduce only order. Okay, so then you're flat. So if it did get the signal before it got the exit long signal, now you are flat, and then you are entering in your new trade, whatever amount it is, 0.01, 0.001, whatever you're trading, however much you want to enter. That happens right there. Okay, so with the legacy language, obviously this is much easier. Now, if you don't have legacy, if you're using Lite, I'm not sure what all you can do to make sure that happens. So, because I don't have Alertron Lite and I don't use it much, do your own research on that and see if that's possible. Another thing that you can do Even for light, I believe, is I think you can send a weight, and you can look this up. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's just like, I don't know if it's parentheses or what what you need, but you can send a wait for 3 seconds, and I think it's even on Alertron. So maybe I'll post that on the Teachable, or just look on Alertron and or ask ChatGPT or your favorite AI what a wait is. So then you can wait 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute. Probably don't want to wait a minute necessarily, but before it sends a new entry, just to make sure the exit is sent first. So there are multiple ways to address this. Yeah, and I think that's all I need to say about that. In general, when using this, don't take anything I'm saying here as my word for it. Do your own research and make sure you really check each box carefully to make sure the language is exactly what you want it to be. There's a lot of things I have, just like I have a question mark after BTC USD because I don't know what you're going to be using this for. So you're going to want to, if you're trading BTC USDT, you're going to need that. If you're trading inverse perpetuals, you're going to need that, and so on. You're going to have your API key right here. And Crown already has a video for this, so I'm not going to go over that. But what you do is you go into Alertatron if you're using Legacy, and you create your key, and you connect it to your exchange and all of those things. Again, plenty of information out there on that. This is kind of more of an overview and things to watch out for with this specific strategy. Okay, so I believe I covered the entries and the exits. Obviously, you have your amount here, and you replace every strategy order action with, if you're going short, just say sell. If you're going long, say buy. Or you can say strategy only action, and that just sends the actual direction that the strategy is going. The exits for long and short are reduce only orders. So this should not get in the way. Say this does actually signal second. This should not get in the way of your other trade, but as always, be checking your exchange anytime you get for me, this is what I do. Anytime I get a signal, I check it in my exchange and make sure that trade actually happened. Okay. Last things to look at are take profit and scalp re-entries. You could set this amount to whatever you want it to be. I find that percentages are tricky, and there's a lot of things that could go wrong with percentages as your account changes over time and as your trade amount changes over time. That can just get messy. So I find it best to do the math. And again, you can use an AI to do that. Say if you're trading one Bitcoin, it's pretty easy because you can just, and you want to take 10% of one is 0.1. But if you're going like half a Bitcoin or more or less or whatever, you're going to have to do the math to match up to whatever percentages you have in the take profit box, because this is just emulating the general idea. The APIs is actually executing it. So if you want your strategy, your forward play of your strategy to be the reality of what is happening here, you're going to need to do the math and make sure the amounts would be equal to that. All right, so that's the take profit. Again, Alertron Lite language down here. You're going to obviously not want both of these on all of the API fields. You're going to want one or the other. So you're going to want to delete and change all of the information to match what you want. So those are the take profits. The last thing to look at is the re-entries. And it's pretty self-explanatory what's going on here. If you're re-entering long, you're buying whatever amount. And again, you're going to want to make sure there's so many API keys that are going to have to match in your actual trading. So if on one of these scalp re-entry you have BTC USD, then it's going to send a sell order, a buy order to buy BTC USD on your exchange, not BTC USDT, and then obviously BTC USD would not close. So there can be many ways that this goes sideways, which is why always trial before you put actual trading equity at risk. The last thing I was going to kind of just mention here real fast is something to note is if you are entering a scalp re-entry and you want it to be less, which might not be a bad idea, less risk, then you can change that amount to be. So right now, say you're trading one Bitcoin, instead of 0.1 or 0.15 or whatever it is, you can reduce that amount a bit. And the reason I just bring that up is because what you're basically doing when you're re-entering scalp trades is you are being exposed to more risk, because obviously your risk was at 68,000, but 60, basically 69,000 right here as an entry. This will bring your, obviously your entry price up. And so as time goes on, if you have a lot of scalps going on, you can scalp your way back into a losing trade pretty fast, especially if, and this always happens, what goes up must come down. If Bitcoin, eventually you say it takes profit at most of its levels, if it's going to go short, it has to come back down to that midline. And so that midline is naturally over time will probably be coming up as price is going higher. So it's just something to kind of be aware of and think about. And I kind of mentioned this in the first video, the last video that I talked about the general settings of the strategy. Just kind of go back and look at the equity curve over time. And you can see here, I mean, this is not optimized. This is just kind of like the default settings. There is a long period of sideways here from 2021 to 2024, like 3 years of sideways as the strategy stands right now. Now, of course, you can optimize it a good bit so that that doesn't happen. However, that's still a lot, and the actual drawdown here is massive. It says 10% of drawdown, but it's probably, if you would have started trading actually right here, it would be a lot more than that. So anyway, all of these things to be aware of, and yeah, and as always, you can just choose to go one direction or the other. And in that case, if you're going long only or short only, you would leave blank all the other. You would just delete all the other the language from these other API boxes. So, all right, hopefully that answers all the questions. You can always hit us up on Discord if you have any more questions. But please, first, I would recommend using a ChatGPT or some kind of AI to help you kind of get your mind around it. Because as willing as I am to answer questions, I hate answering the same things over and over again, especially if I've already addressed it in the video or if the easy answer is out there on ChatGPT. So, all right, as always, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.